So what if I told you that the love that you're chasing from others is not actually the love that you need? The key to the purpose of life, the key to everything, to more joy, fulfillment, and happiness is love. But it's not just any kind of love. It's the true unconditional love that we've all been searching for. And it's taken me 30 plus years to discover it, to experience it. And in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you how you can experience it too. So for many of us, love is a very confusing word. We've been taught many different versions of love from our family, society, the environments that we've grown up in. But here's the thing. We've been given a false understanding of love. We've been taught love backwards, EVOL. We've been told so many untruths about love. We've been taught that love is based on a set of conditions, demands, expectations, and sometimes even manipulation. But here's the thing, love is far more beautiful than that. Love is a gift that can never be demanded or expected. Love isn't just something we feel in a fleeting moment or how we depend upon others to show us affection. Love is something far deeper than that. The truth is, the true purpose of life is not about achieving success, not about acquiring material wealth, or even being loved by others. The true purpose of life is to experience the greatest love of all, divine love, God's love. Because when we truly experience divine love, love from our Creator, everything changes. So what is God's love? Well, there are two types of love that we can experience in this lifetime. One is natural love and one is divine love. Natural love is a love that comes from humans. So the love that we experience from our families, friends, and other relationships. It's also the love that we can share with others as well. And this love can be quite beautiful. It can be nurturing and somewhat essential for our well-being. However, it is also very fleeting because of our lack of development in love and in understanding what it truly means to love. What we often feel is loving is completely the opposite and not loving. Like I said, we've been taught love backwards, EVOL. But divine love, on the other hand, is something far greater. Divine love is the love that comes from God to us. Divine love is pure, it's unconditional and perfect. Divine love is God's personal feelings and emotions for us that God can share directly to each and every individual human soul on earth, that helps us to understand how much God loves us and what God feels for us. So why do we need to experience God's love? Well, as I mentioned, the purpose of life is to experience the greatest love of all, because God's love helps me to understand what love truly is. God's love teaches me the absolute truth about love from God's perspective. God's love clears away any misconceptions and untruths about love that leads me to the true understanding of what it means to love. And as we receive God's love, we grow in God's love. We grow in our capacity to love ourselves, to love others, to love the environment, and even animals. We become more loving in our intentions, desires, thoughts, words, beliefs, and actions. We become more loving individuals. Through receiving God's love, we become more sensitive to what is loving and what isn't loving. Through receiving God's love, we become more desirous to love everything around us, to be more loving in this world. God's love is the greatest gift you could ever receive. God's love doesn't just educate us in love. God's love heals us. God's love can heal our childhood trauma, our intergenerational trauma. God's love can heal physical ailments. God's love can heal any pain and suffering in your life. God's love not only educates us about love, God's love educates us about who we are. Through God's love and receiving more of God's love, we can come to understand ourselves, the universe that we live in. God's love can answer any question that we have about life and our existence. God's love is the foundation for everything you've ever wanted in life, from healthy relationships to living your purpose, achieving your dreams. It all rests upon receiving God's divine love into your soul. I used to think that love was something that I needed to get from others, that if I had the right family, the right friends, the right partner, that I would feel complete. But here's what I've learned. There is no other human on earth that can give you the love that you're seeking. Only God can show you what love truly is. God's love is the nourishment that gives us life, that helps us to grow emotionally, that helps our soul to expand, that helps us to heal any problem, sickness, physical ailment in our life. God's love is life. God's love is life. God's love is the answer to our happiness, the answer to peace, the answer to love, kindness, joy, compassion, more fulfillment in life. Like, this is why we need to experience it, because God's love will change you. God's love can take a heart of stone and turn it into a heart of flesh. God's love can take the most hateful and unloving person and turn them into the most kind, compassionate, and loving person. God's love can take the most hardened heart and make them soft and gentle and kind and more feeling. God can take any human soul and transform them into a sensitive, loving, feeling and sensing being. God's love can take someone who is in a very dark soul condition and turn them into a bright, loving human being. God's love has the power to transform anyone, no matter where they are at in life, and help them to experience the most greatest joy and happiness that they could ever experience. That's the power of God's love, and that's why we need to experience it, because it is the point of life. The point of life is to experience the ultimate and greatest love of all, which is God's love. God's love is what heals. It helps you to grow in your soul. It helps you to heal trauma. It helps you to heal physical ailments. It helps you to grow in your capacity to love yourself, to love others, to love the environment that you live in, to love animals. It helps you to grow in your ability to love. You grow in God's love. You will grow in your ability to love in this world. God's love motivates you to do beautiful things in this world. God's love is life. God's love has the ability to transform the human soul and to heal the physical body. God's love has the ability to give you all of the happiness, joy, fulfillment that you've ever desired in life without needing to chase it. God's love can heal your self-worth issues so that you don't need to chase self-worth in all of the wrong places, because God is gonna help you to feel truly loved in this world. When no one else loves you, God is going to love you and is going to teach you that you are loved, you are the pinnacle of God's creation, and that God wants to give you everything in this world that you've ever desired that's loving. So what does it feel like to experience God's love? Well, this is a very hard question to answer, because you have to feel and experience God's love to know what it feels like. But I'm going to do my best to share from my personal experience what it feels like. So experiencing God's love will feel like nothing you've ever experienced before. God's love is an emotion. It's an energetic substance that enters into your soul. And the moment it enters your soul, it's very emotionally overwhelming. It's very intense, to the point you will always cry. Whenever I've received God's love into my soul, I've always cried. It's not the kind of love that will make you jump up and down. It's the kind of love that will have you on the floor in tears. You'll be crying. It be very intense. It's a very deeply intense and spiritual experience. God's love is overwhelmingly beautiful. It feels different. It's unlike any other love that you will ever feel from any other human being. It is very it's very powerful. God's love is extremely powerful. That's the only way I can describe it. It's powerful, but gentle and kind and loving and compassionate. God's love tells you that no matter what you've done in your past, no matter the mistakes you've made, that you are loved just as you are. And that's the beautiful thing about God's love, is that there's no judgments in God's love. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done, there's no judgment in receiving God's love. It is truly unconditional, and you will feel so loved in your soul in that moment. So the other day, I recorded a bit more about my personal experience of receiving God's love. So I'm just going to share that with you right now before we move on to the next point. So firstly, there hasn't been a lot of occasions where I've received God's love. It's been like a handful of occasions over the past 10 years. The times when I've felt God's love the most have been the times when I've engaged humility and truth. So when I become humble to see the error that exists inside of my soul, and when I've become humble to the truth about that error and about where that error comes from. And it's usually an emotional injury or trauma that's happened to me in my childhood. And sometimes it's been intergenerational trauma as well. But it's the times when I've been in a state of humility to see the truth about my soul condition, about where it's an error in regards to God's love, God's definition of love, not my own, not humans' definition, but God's definition. It's when I've been humbled to see that error and to see when I'm out of harmony with love and to get into a state of truth about where I'm currently at, that I've felt God's love. Okay, so I'm going to give an example, but honestly, like, it's probably not going to do it justice because, like, words, language, communication just can't explain really the breadth of the experience. But I've had many experiences where I've been sick and I've just prayed, I want to know what this emotion is that's making me sick. I want to know what this trauma is that's making me sick. And usually I will get information like through my consciousness come to me about what the problem is. And when I connect to the truth of that information and I am humble to feeling the truth of that information, I'm humble to feeling the pain of that information, that's when I feel God's love and I connect to it. So it's definitely when I've been more humble to the truth of where I'm at and to feeling the truth of the pain that exists in my soul that I'm able to open my heart to receiving God's love. And this has happened to me on like quite a lot of different occasions where I've either been sick or I've simply just wanted to know the truth about some of the problems or challenges in my life. And when I've received that truth and been humbled to feeling it and to feeling the pain of where that's connected to my childhood, they're the times when I've received and connected to God's love. And it's a very, very beautiful experience that like really overwhelms you. And it's as you are connecting, and as I'm connecting to the truth and to the pain of my childhood, or to the core pain of where this was caused in my childhood, as I'm connecting to the truth and I'm longing to receive God's love in that place, that's exactly the moments I feel and experience God's love. It's really hard to explain, but in a nutshell, the times when I've been able to experience God's love is when I've been humble to seeing the truth of the problems that exist inside of my soul. I've been humble to seeing the cause of where that was created in my life. Usually it's in childhood, or sometimes it's been First Nations intergenerational trauma. When I've been humbled to seeing that truth and feeling that in my soul, feeling the pain that I've been carrying with me in my soul, that's when I've been the most open to receiving God's love. That's when I've been able to connect to and open my soul to receiving God's love. And it's a very beautiful experience. It's very healing. I've been able to heal physical ailments overnight through receiving God's love into my soul. There were times when I've had like neck issues where I can't actually turn my neck. And as soon as I've gotten into truth about something, as soon as I've felt the pain and where that pain was created in my childhood, I literally, in that moment, my neck like unlocked and I felt it was like, and I could move my neck again. And there have been times when I've had hives, and when I've connected to the truth as to why I had hives and connected to that pain, I woke up the next day and I didn't have hives. And it was the same with another sickness I had. When I connected to the truth as to why I was sick, where it came from in my life, I woke up the next day and I was all better. And this has happened to me so many times when I've connected to the errors, the emotional errors and traumas that exist inside of my soul. And I've been humble to seeing the truth of where that was created in my life, where that pain was originally created. When I've been humble to connect to those problems emotionally and feel the pain that I've been carrying in my soul, that's when I've been able to experience God's love. And then there are times where I've received God's love when I've just desired it. I remember long before I came across Divine Truth Teachings, this was a couple of years, I realized that the key to happiness in life was love. But I also realized that I had never really experienced true love in my life. And so I just started to desire love. And I wasn't even desiring love to God. I was just opening my heart and putting it out to the universe that I wanted to experience true love. And I specifically remember having those desires and all of a sudden like crying out of nowhere. And I didn't know why I was crying whenever I had this desire. So there have been times when I've connected to God's love through processing my feelings, my pain, my trauma. And then there have been times when I've experienced God's love just through desiring it, just through wanting to experience what true love feels like. And then there have been times I've experienced God's love through creating a beautiful piece of music, through doing my passions. And this love is different. It's different to any other human love that I've ever experienced. It comes from like outside of me, and I can feel it entering into my body, into my soul. And the moment it enters into my soul, it connects me with like a deep feeling. Like it connects me with my emotions. It makes me cry. Like I can't explain it. Like the moment I feel divine love enter me, I am immediately crying because it feels beautiful. It feels like nothing that I've ever felt in my life. So I don't know if sharing my experience of receiving divine love really does it any justice, and it cannot possibly do it any justice. And so that's why all I can recommend is to try the great experiment to experience it for yourself, because until you experience it yourself, you won't really understand what I'm talking about. You won't really understand what it feels like to be truly loved by God, and what it feels like to receive divine love into your soul. It really is only an intellectual like piece of knowledge that you will have. You won't feel it as an emotional truth inside of your soul until you experience it for yourself. I can't do it justice. I can't. It doesn't matter the words I say. There is nothing I could say to really bring justice to what divine love feels like. But it's a real experience. It's a tangible experience. It's something that you can have more than once. And in fact, the goal is to be receiving God's love 24/7. Imagine that, having divine love flow through your soul 24/7. 7 days of the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're going to be receiving divine love. That is the end goal, to be receiving God's love 24/7. I've only experienced it a handful of times. And I sometimes go months and years without receiving divine love. And they're the times when I'm obviously in resistance to humility and truth in my life. But that's the end goal, to get to a stage of humility and truth where God's love flows through our soul 24/7. That's the end goal, because that's the purpose of life. But in my limited experience, I can tell you that I've already had amazing blessings and growth from the small amount of times that I have received God's love. So can you imagine receiving it 24/7? Like how much that is going to change your life? I can't imagine it. I cannot imagine it right now. So in my limited experience of receiving divine love, God's love, I can only share with my limited words on what that experience is like. And therefore, encourage you to just try it for yourself and to see for yourself and to experience this great, great love and this gift of love that's on offer right now for every single person. I wish I could have explained it to you better, but this is currently where I'm at in my limited capacity of communicating in words. But hopefully you'll get to experience this for yourself and know what I'm talking about. So the big question is, how do we experience God's love? Well, the beautiful thing is you don't need to be perfect to receive God's love. You don't need to belong to any religion to receive God's love, because God's love is for free. It is not bound by buildings or institutions. The gift of God's love is on offer right now to all of humanity who seek it and desire it. And all you need is a sincere longing and desire to receive it. And there are also 2 key principles that can open your soul up to the reception of God's love, and that is humility and truth. I've touched on humility and truth in a previous video, but to be honest, I'm probably not the best person to give you a comprehensive understanding on humility and truth. So what I'll do is I'll leave some links to some resources in the description of this video. Divine Truth Teachings is where I've learned everything that I'm sharing with you today. So I'm going to share some resources, some videos on divine truth that will give you a more comprehensive understanding on humility and truth. But in a nutshell, to my current understanding, humility is where we are humbled to seeing ourselves truthfully as God sees us. We can't ask for God's love when we are being fake with God, when we are in a facade with God. We have to be truthful about where we're at, about our current soul condition. And that is when we can open ourselves up to receiving more of God's love. But essentially, anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place can receive God's love. But the key factor here is that you need to ask for it. You need to desire it, because God is not going to force God's love onto anyone who isn't asking for it. Because everyone has free will, and God will never ever take away our free will. So God is always waiting for us to exercise our free will to ask for some of God's love. And it is through asking for this love that we can receive it. It is that simple. And we can do that through what is known as the Great Experiment. The Great Experiment is an experiment to ask to receive some of God's love. So what you can say is, God, if you are a God of love and you have personal love to give me, then I'd love to receive some. And that's the experiment. Engage that experiment, try it for yourself and see what happens. And then if you receive some of God's love, great. That means you were in a state of humility and truth at that time. If you don't receive some of God's love, then you need to revisit humility and truth and find out where you are resistive in humility and truth. Again, I'll leave some links to some resources in the description of this video. But that is how you will receive some of God's divine love, is simply through asking for it, through sincerity, through longing, through desire, through a soul-based, heartfelt desire to receive God's love. So I'm here to tell you that it's possible. You don't need to keep chasing love in all the wrong places. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone, because God's love is waiting for you. God's love is waiting to transform your life. And when you experience God's love, it is only then you will truly understand what love is. You will truly understand what it feels to be loved in this world. And that God's love is not just a powerful force that will guide you and heal you, but it's God's personal feelings for you that share with you how God loves you and what God feels about you. So here's my invitation. Open your heart and try the Great Experiment and ask for some of God's love. Don't wait 30 plus years like me to experience the greatest love of all, divine love. Start your journey today. How did I come across this information? Where did I learn that God's love, the gift of God's love, is on offer to humanity right now? Well, thanks to Divine Truth Teachings, I was able to learn this information. If you want to learn more about Divine Truth Teachings, you can head over to their YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Jesus and Mary for sharing this information with me. It has absolutely transformed my life. It's changed me as a person. It's given me a curiosity about God again. And it's also inspired me to engage the Great Experiment in my own life. So thank you so much for all that you've shared about God and about how to become a more loving person and about how to grow in my relationship with God. Thank you so much. I appreciate that you've shared this information for free with us. And yeah, it's inspired me in my life to want to do better and want to be better and want to learn more about God and about love. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Purpose Creator Project. If you enjoyed today's conversation, join me and support this podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/Electronicsofficial. Remember, be curious and stay curious. Keep exploring, keep growing, and keep creating. Until next time.